If it feels a bit like deja vu all over again, that's probably because this is the third time our next guest has been honored by the Women's Executive Network as one of the top 100 most powerful women in Canada. Engineer Stephanie Thompson joins us. Congratulations once again. I'm going to guess here, it doesn't get old after 3 times, does it?
No, especially in this kind of era of doom and gloom. It's always kind of a nice thing to be recognized for hard work, really, is what I always kind of try to put to the table.
That would be kind of an odd thing if you were saying, oh, ho-hum, I got to, it's the third time. Big deal.
You use a word like powerful, and I mean, it's a little bit embarrassing, right? Because we all have this image in our head of what powerful means, but I think in the new era of kind of inclusive and teams and different styles of leadership, having a term like powerful mean different things is really important, and I think that's what I'm really proud of, to be thought of as powerful for the work that I do.
Well, it's interesting that they chose to use that word powerful, and I like it because, again, we don't often associate, and I'm just saying this on a broad basis, that word is not often associated with women in business and technology.
Yeah.
And, often it would have been inspiring or something like that instead of powerful, but I love that they use that term powerful because you are powerful.
Yeah, and having different visions of leadership, and I like to say that that's what I bring to the table is I'm not one particular style, and if you have an image of your head of a woman engineer, of a leader, of someone that works in business, that works in automotive, all of the things that I do, it might not be the stereotypical image, and yet I can still be that kind of role model for somebody coming up who have had a successful career, and the next generation that might want to aspire towards the same.
You're an engineer, you lead a team of 32 engineers at General Motors. What is your leadership style?
Very collaborative, very working with the people. I've like to say that I've kind of always been a worker bee in the team, and so I really appreciate the work that people do for me, and recognizing that as an engineer, you're not always the one that's going to be bragging or putting yourself out on the table, because you're doing great work in the background and doing hard work to solve problems that move an organization forward. So I always love to give the recognition to the people that deserve it. So collaborating with them to make sure that their voice is heard and that they get the recognition they need, truly, because sometimes their voice isn't as powerful as somebody who's an extrovert or can lead them through that way.
Can I ask you, out of that team of 32, how many more are women?
I currently have two women that work directly for me.
But you're making inroads. I know that you have STEM with Steph, and you do STEM workshops for women. You're trying to build the next phase of the 100 most powerful women as well.
Absolutely. And, there's always opportunities for women to be part of it. And it's not that they don't necessarily, in my world, isn't that they don't have the opportunities. I want to make sure that I'm that person that gives them the opportunities, that allows them to see that it is possible. I mean, I've been in manufacturing for more than 20 years, which is a very, say, unusual thing to be part of. It can be a very tough life. It's 7 days, it's shift work, it's a lot of pressures to produce and make the stuff we need to be competitive. And yet at the same time, you can balance that, and there is possibility to have kind of a career, a life, a family within that realm. I remember when I first started, I always just asked the question, like some of the male engineers, either had stay-at-home wives or perhaps didn't have kids, and so it wasn't as attainable to see what a longevity or a career
Right.
with that type of focus would be like. So I like to say that, I've got a daughter that's 6, and I can do some extracurricular stuff and try to make the world a better place, and while balancing the importance of having a job that is kind of big picture at a big company.
Does your daughter recognize, these 3 years that you've been named one of Canada's 100 most powerful women? And
That's
what
a good question.
what do you see her doing sometime in her future? Is she inspired by what her mom does?
I always, whenever I do panels or I have students that I talk to, I like to say that, in 10 years, those 15-year-olds will be 25 and they'll be on panels. And I need them to be really excellent because, kids never listen to their moms whenever things that happen. So I need that generation to be there for her so that she has role models to lean up to. So while I don't have any inspiration that I'm going to change, the way mothers and daughters react to each other, I hope that I can create this world that influences, that there's no barrier, and that they have a lot of role models, so that there's a challenge that she doesn't see, that there's no female engineers, or there's no female in technology, or no females in automotive. It doesn't even occur to her that that was a challenge. I had a good line. It was Elizabeth Zimmerman from the YWCA
Yes.
locally. And one day when I was really frustrated with kind of the work and the stress of not feeling like you're moving the needle as much, And she said to me, you know, Stephanie, she's like, when I was a young girl, there was no such thing as female bus drivers. And I said, oh, that's crazy. Of course a female can be a bus driver. And she said, aha, like that's what it is. You don't believe
That's
that there
right.
could never be something like that. And yet I lived through a world. And so I like to hope that that's the era I live in. I might not see as many people, you know, of my generation or, you know, women in specific areas, but that my child will see a world where that wasn't even a possibility. And truly, we're seeing some outstanding women graduating from university who are taking technical courses, who have never not had access to robotics because they've had it since they were kids, with their toys, with programs at school, with educational partners that exist. And so there's a world coming up that they've never been told they couldn't do technology, and they've lived with it their whole lives.
Well,
and
you
so
are
that's the era.
moving the needle, and you have moved the needle. Congratulations again for the third straight year, Stephanie.
Thank you.